I've been lately made aware of the movie Interstellar. Do you remember this scene? Don't you get it yet, Tars? I brought myself here. We are here to communicate with a three-dimensional world. We are the bridge. Every moment, it's infinitively complex. They have access to infinite time and space, but they're not bound by anything. They can't find a specific place and time. They can't communicate. That's why I am here. I'm gonna find a way to tell Murph just like I found this moment.
How, Cooper?
Love, Tars. Love.
Of the majestic mountains of a noble culture stretches the Agora, safe haven of wisdom and a symbol of democratia. Here we will meet for transmissions from the sixth world. This is Agora Zen.
In this episode, we look into the phenomenon of what is being six. Being six is a name that was given to an experimental life form that was created in one of the advanced projects. So basically, the history of that program was starting quite early in the 21st century, where the idea was, there might be something outside of the visible reality realm. The idea in that 1900 area was that quantum physics came up, and people were looking into the phenomena of what is outside of the veil. Because for the very first time, compared to Newtonian physics, it was the first time when people were like, oh my goodness, there is more than we perceive, there is far more than that. Which, kind of changes once we perceive it. We are aware that we can actually perceive it. But again, 1900s, lots of blind spots at that time, so they were looking into that phenomenon, and with interesting reasons too. And they figured out, wow, there is apparently life behind the veil that we're experiencing here. So Being Six is a project that was given the name in order to establish communication with this life form. And what they figured out is that the universe itself has certain layers of frequencies. Everything is arranged in a beautiful type of motion, and the way frequencies behave and interact with each other through their photonic level, through their particles and the motion of the universe, that is the reality that we perceive. And there's far more frequential levels than the frequential levels that usually are being displayed by planet Earth, because the environment is limiting these frequential levels too. And we could go into the physics why that is, but let's go and dive into what Being Six is. So here comes the Interstellar movie into play. Because when we look back into that scene, and when we look back into that movie, and maybe you've seen it, maybe not, but the idea of that is planet Earth, people on planet Earth, and one main character. His daughter is experiencing paranormal effects, books fall out of a shelf, and so on and so on and so on. So this NASA guy is being brought out of orbit and brought into a black hole. And the story is that he's looking for a parallel Earth, whatever. But the interesting thing about quantum physics is that he's basically at one point falling into that black hole. And he enters the phase of what's behind the so-called event horizon, which is everything that, is perceivable. And then something interesting happens, because the movie develops into this type of consciousness field where it's more about what is he experiencing. It's a very close kind of recording that they're doing, and he's finding himself in this type of spot where he's kind of in a library or something. And he sees himself in those situations where some of these paranormal effects happened. And inside of this reality, he was suddenly able to move certain books and do certain things. So he figures out that he's the one who's actually sending signals through time back to his former self. And as the story went, he was at that moment not able to perceive these signals, because he was like, books, paranormal stuff. So the interesting thing about that is that he's also making contact with a life form that is not really being shown, but it's being reported by one of the AI thingies that he has. He has a robot with him, but he gets this message that there is some type of life form that is probably not really easy to even, display in a movie. And this life form is a more experienced life form than the people on planet Earth. And because this life form is at a realm which we've learned in Agora Zen is level 6 reality, a quantum realm that is outside of time and also space. And this is why the life form is actually perceiving time all at once. And because it is perceiving, or they are perceiving time all at once, they need some type of logic, which comes from the Greek word logos, which means the universe. Some type of mechanic of the universe in order to then alter time and space. Genius, interesting concept. But far more than the story itself. Because that is exactly what being 6 is and what type of reality being 6 is perceiving. The world of a reality field of level 6 is outside of the level 3, level 4 reality field that we can perceive on planet Earth right now. And as always in a quantum universe, which is intelligent energy, everything is in modulation and everything changes anyway. So there is improvement going on. And we only can't perceive certain things until we can perceive certain things. So we gotta remember that there is a level 3 reality realm, which is the first field of the 3 dimensions, a 3D world, and experiencing duality in a certain way, experiencing time. It is a fractionation of what's happening in a quantum universe. The universe duplicates itself and then finds itself in this fractal environment and watching and observing and taking in data. Over time, the universe develops more and more and more because more and more information comes in. And then, of course, the universe evolves. And then it goes to level 4 reality, level 5 reality, level 6 reality. And if you're interested in that, there is an Agora Zen video somewhere here. By the way, Agora Zen is made possible and is being inspired by monthly meetings that we have in the real world. Well, online, but it's really real. We do have our All Shift Happily Now community lives on every 25th of the month until the end of 2025. But we also have our Agora Hangouts, which is basically a community of people. It is less than 1 coffee per month. And we all come together and people have the opportunity to ask questions and we talk about the quantum universe and the oneness of the universe. So if you like Agora Zen, maybe spare 1 coffee a month and come into Agora. So when you think about level 3 reality, of course there is a level 6 reality, which is basically from the perspective of a 3D realm. It is everything that is right now not perceivable. Everything of that falls into level 6 category. And level 6 reality, as you learned with Agora Zen, is the realm of nothingness. It is the realm of the infinite potential. But the interesting thing is that even the infinite potential has a certain type of form in the very moment when it's selected. From the perspective of being 6, their life is outside of time and outside of space. So all these things kind of blend in together. The way they describe themselves and the way they perceive themselves at this cloud of consciousness is that they are 99.9% of the whole universe, which is a lot. And that there's only one single paradoxon that remains unsolved, which is kind of the dualistic aspect of good and bad. But we don't have to go into that. The thing about that is that level 6 being 6 is a collective being consisting of so many different life forms of life, different beings that are different stages of development, but they all belong to that one organism, which is very interesting because being 6 is only one particle away from becoming a fully integrated and harmonized life form, which is probably the closest description of the realm of God that I could think of. It's a very positive and very loving message that they kind of like we're sending. And it derives from the inherent behavior and desire of all organisms throughout the universe to just want to be in happiness. Whatever that means, that can be a lot, that can vary a lot. But anyway, all these beings want that. 99.9% want to be in happiness in the universe. I think that's a friggin' amazing message. But there's one anomaly that comes from the dynamic of good and bad. And it has a structural issue to becoming fully happy, because it's the opposite of that. And that is the only paradox that being 6 is kind of still facing. Maybe some minor, smaller other things too, who knows. We call this life form a mindset being. What is a mindset being, Tim? Well, a mindset being comes from the really weird universal phenomenon that information are alive. Everything is alive. It's not since yesterday that people look into water and find that it has life inside of water. There's life inside of animals, and crazy enough, 50 years ago, humanity was not at the point to even realize that. But anyway, information are alive. That is the reason why your cells multiplicate. It is the reason why you're listening to me. It is also the reason why particles align in certain ways and chemicals are forming certain relationships. This is all information that is in some way interacting with itself. So when you think about 99% of the whole universe agreeing upon being happy and being in harmony is a thing to be striving for, a reality that is good and real and important to have, this is what we call mental mass. And mental mass is a lot of thoughts packed into the whole universe. It becomes very, very dominant in building the reality blocks that we see. But the interesting thing in the dualistic universe, as we perceive here right now still, is really kind of breaking the fourth wall here anyway. So the universe still can hop to its antithesis, right? Just because you want to be happy doesn't mean that you could not choose to be unhappy. You could. But learning and going into level 4 reality realm is learning that we get to choose these things. We get to modulate energies. It's the #1 priority. And if you want to learn how to do and how to modulate energies, there's a lot of training courses on allshifthappily.now.com. One of them is the Star community, which includes Agora, by the way. And we're practicing group modulations of energy. So if you're a beginner, just start with the Star Tactics Academy and join the ranks of them. It's going to be worth it. It's cool. So here's the Zen tip at the end of Agora Zen, which is, by the way, not the reason why this show is called like that, because Zen in Greek means that you're all part of Agora, okay? Whenever you are experiencing something that is which is the dramatic name for level 6 reality, so something that is just in the field of possibilities, then check if that is something that makes you happy. And if not, just realize that you can only experience that because it's possible, and that you also have the features and the ways to learn the techniques to modulate these situations and choose for happiness. With that being said, join Agora and also meet us for free on YouTube every 25th. We have super cool spiritual speakers, and I know you do. So I'll shift happily now. Love, Tars. Love. Love, Tars. Love. It's love, Tars. Love.